Hello, dear garden dreamers. I'm Lily from Golden Garden Moments. Maybe you've been imagining a backyard bursting with color, a quiet corner filled with herbs, flowers, and the gentle buzz of bees. You've pictured yourself sipping tea among your blooms, proud of what your hands have grown. But then, reality hits. Weeds take over, plants vanish overnight, or worse, you spend weeks nurturing something beautiful only to learn it's choking out native wildflowers, cracking your patio, or even harming your pets. You start to wonder, why does gardening feel so complicated? Am I doing something wrong? But what if I told you it's not you? What if the problem isn't your care, but the plant itself? Because some plants look innocent, but they're ecological time bombs. And once they're in your soil, they're almost impossible to remove. Today, I'm sharing the 13 plants you must never plant in your garden, not because they're ugly, but because they're deceptively destructive. These are the ones I've learned to avoid the hard way, so you don't have to. So if you love your garden and your neighborhood's wild spaces, let's protect them together. Let's grow wisely. Kudzu. Kudzu is an invasive vine originally introduced to control erosion, but it's now one of the most destructive plants in the U.S. It grows up to a foot per day, smothering trees, shrubs, and even buildings under a dense blanket of leaves. Once established, kudzu is nearly impossible to eradicate. It sends deep roots and regrows from even small fragments. It reduces biodiversity by blocking sunlight and outcompeting native species. Many states classify it as a noxious weed, and planting it may even be illegal. If you spot kudzu near your property, report it to local authorities instead of trying to manage it yourself. Never intentionally plant kudzu in your garden. It's a fast-growing ecological nightmare that can take over your yard and spread to neighboring land, causing long-term environmental and financial damage. Choose native ground covers instead for a safer, sustainable landscape. Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed is deceptively pretty, but incredibly destructive. This fast-spreading perennial can grow through concrete, asphalt, and building foundations, causing serious structural damage. Its roots, called rhizomes, extend up to 20 feet horizontally and 10 feet deep, making removal extremely difficult. Even a tiny fragment can regenerate into a new plant. In many countries, including the UK and parts of the US, it's illegal to plant or dispose of Japanese knotweed improperly. Mortgage lenders may refuse loans on properties with knotweed infestations due to the high cost of remediation. Never compost or dump clippings. It spreads easily. If you suspect it's on your property, contact a professional immediately. Opt for non-invasive ornamental grasses or shrubs instead. Japanese knotweed may look harmless, but it's a legal and ecological liability that can haunt your garden and your wallet for years. 3. Purple loosestrife. Purple loosestrife may look like a charming wildflower, but it's a highly invasive wetland destroyer. A single plant can produce over 2 million seeds annually, quickly crowding out native plants that support local wildlife. It forms dense monocultures in marshes, ponds, and riverbanks, reducing habitat for fish, birds, and amphibians. Many states ban its sale and cultivation due to its environmental impact. Once established, it's extremely hard to control. Manual removal often fails because root fragments regrow. Chemical treatments can harm other aquatic life. Never plant purple loosestrife near water features or natural wetlands. Instead, choose native alternatives like blazing star or jopai weed, which offer similar beauty without the ecological cost. If you already have it, remove it carefully and dispose of it in sealed bags, not compost. Protect your local ecosystem by avoiding this deceptive garden invader. 4. English ivy. English ivy might seem like a classic, elegant ground cover, but it's a major threat to trees, buildings, and native ecosystems. It climbs tree trunks, blocking sunlight and adding weight that can lead to branch breakage or tree death. On walls, it traps moisture, promoting rot and structural damage. Ivy spreads aggressively through seeds carried by birds and by rooting wherever stems touch soil. In many regions, it's classified as invasive and can dominate forest floors, choking out native wildflowers and seedlings. Removing it requires persistent effort, pulling vines and digging out roots thoroughly. Never dump clippings. They can root and spread. Instead of English ivy, consider native ground covers like creeping phlox or wild ginger. These provide similar coverage without the environmental harm. Remember, what looks like timeless charm can quickly become an uncontrollable garden nightmare. 5. Bamboo. Running types. Not all bamboo is bad, but running bamboo species like Philostachys are among the most aggressive garden invaders. These types spread rapidly via underground rhizomes, shooting up new culms dozens of feet from the original plant. They can crack patios, invade neighbors' yards, and overwhelm flower beds. Once established, eradication can take years of persistent digging and cutting. Many gardeners unknowingly plant running bamboo, mistaking it for clumping varieties that stay contained. Always verify the species before buying. If you already have running bamboo, install deep root barriers, at least 30 inches, and monitor constantly. Better yet, choose clumping bamboo or ornamental grasses like miscanthus. Running bamboo may offer privacy and beauty, but its unchecked growth can lead to costly disputes and landscape damage. Think twice before introducing this fast-spreading giant into your garden. 6. Giant hogweed. Giant hogweed isn't just invasive, it's dangerous. This towering plant can grow over 14 feet tall and produces toxic sap that causes severe skin burns when exposed to sunlight. Contact can lead to painful blisters, long-term scarring, and even blindness if it gets in your eyes. Native to Central Asia, it spreads aggressively along rivers and roadsides, outcompeting native flora. In the U.S., it's a federally listed noxious weed, illegal to plant or transport. Never handle it without protective gear, and never compost or mow it, as that spreads seeds and sap. If you spot giant hogweed, report it to local authorities for safe removal. Avoid confusion with similar-looking plants like cow parsnip by checking for purple-spotted stems and large umbrella-like flower clusters. Your safety and local ecosystem depend on keeping this hazardous plant far from your garden. Wow, that was intense, right? Giant hogweed isn't just invasive, it's downright dangerous. And trust me, the next plants on this list are just as sneaky. Some look harmless, but can take over your entire yard in a single season. If you're serious about keeping your garden healthy, beautiful, and eco-friendly, you won't want to miss what's coming next. That's why I'd love for you to hit subscribe right now so you never miss a gardening tip that could save your landscape, your time, and even your safety. We share science-backed advice, native plant alternatives, and real solutions to common garden mistakes. Plus, your support helps us keep making content that protects both your backyard and the planet. So go ahead, tap that subscribe button and join thousands of smart gardeners who are growing smarter every day. Now, let's get back to the list. Number 7 might already be hiding in your flower bed. 7. Creeping bellflower. Creeping bellflower may charm with its delicate blue-purple flowers, but it's a relentless garden invader. It spreads aggressively through deep, brittle roots that break easily. Each fragment can sprout a new plant. It also self-seeds prolifically and thrives in sun or shade, making containment nearly impossible. Once established, it chokes out perennials, bulbs, and ground covers, forming dense mats that resist removal. Digging often fails because even tiny root pieces left behind regenerate. Herbicides may harm nearby plants. Many gardeners regret planting it after it takes over entire beds. Never share or compost this plant. It's notoriously difficult to control. Instead, choose well-behaved alternatives like Campanula carpatica, a non-invasive bellflower cousin. If you already have creeping bellflower, persistent removal over several seasons is your only hope. Don't let its beauty fool you. It's a stubborn, spreading menace. 8. Mint. Invasive varieties. Mint is beloved for its fragrance and culinary uses, but common varieties like spearmint and peppermint are aggressive spreaders. They send out runners above and below ground that quickly invade flower beds, lawns, and neighboring gardens. A single plant can dominate a large area within one season. While tasty, mint's invasiveness makes it risky to plant directly in the ground. Instead, always grow mint in containers to restrict its roots. Even then, monitor for escapees. Never compost mint clippings. They can root and spread. If you want garden mint, choose sterile or clumping varieties labeled as non-invasive. Alternatively, use herbs like lemon balm or basil for similar flavor without the takeover risk. Mint's usefulness doesn't outweigh its potential to ruin carefully planned landscapes. Contain it or skip it to keep your garden balanced and manageable. 9. Tamarisk, also known as salt cedar, is a drought-tolerant shrub that's devastating to arid ecosystems. It consumes massive amounts of water, up to 200 gallons per day, lowering water tables and drying up streams. It excretes salt through its leaves, poisoning the soil and preventing other plants from growing. In the western U.S., it's displaced native willows and cottonwoods, harming wildlife that depends on them. Tamarisk also increases wildfire risk due to its flammable foliage. It's classified as a noxious weed in many states, and planting it is illegal in several regions. Removal requires professional intervention as it resprouts vigorously after cutting. Never use tamarisk for erosion control or ornamental purposes. Instead, choose native, water-wise shrubs like desert willow or rabbitbrush. Protect fragile desert habitats by keeping this thirsty, salty invader out of your landscape. 10. Bradford pear. The Bradford pear tree is widely planted for its showy white spring blooms, but it's ecologically harmful and structurally weak. It's highly invasive, cross-pollinating with other calorie pears to produce thorny, wild offspring that overrun fields and forests. These seedlings outcompete native trees and offer little value to wildlife. Bradford pears also have weak branch unions, making them prone to splitting in storms, often within 20 years. Many cities and states now ban their sale and planting. If you have one, consider replacing it with a native alternative like serviceberry, redbud, or dogwood, which provide beautiful blooms, stronger structure, and better habitat support. Never plant a Bradford pear for quick shade or spring color. It's a short-lived tree with long-term consequences. Choose wisely to support biodiversity and avoid future cleanup headaches. 11. Goutweed, also called bishop's weed, is often sold as a shade-tolerant ground cover, but it's a garden nightmare. It spreads rapidly via white, brittle rhizomes that fragment easily, with each piece growing into a new plant. It forms dense mats that smother hostas, ferns, and other shade-loving perennials. Once established, it's nearly impossible to eradicate without herbicides, and even then, multiple treatments are needed. Many gardeners accidentally introduce it by sharing plants from infested beds. Never compost Or discard goutweed. It spreads through tiny root bits. Instead, use well-behaved native ground covers like wild ginger or foam flower. If you already have goutweed, dig deeply and repeatedly, removing every root fragment and monitor for years. Its attractive variegated leaves hide a tenacious invader. Skip it to save your shade garden from takeover. 12. Yellow flag iris. Yellow flag iris looks stunning near ponds with its sword-like leaves and bright yellow blooms, but it's a dangerous wetland invader. It forms dense clumps that choke out native aquatic plants, reduce oxygen levels, and degrade habitat for fish and amphibians. Its seeds and rhizomes spread easily via water, animals, and garden waste. In many states, it's illegal to plant or sell due to its ecological impact. Once established, removal is labor-intensive, rhizomes must be fully excavated, and fragments can regrow. Never dump aquarium or pond plants containing yellow flag iris into natural waterways. Instead, choose native alternatives like blue flag iris, which supports pollinators and stays well behaved. If you spot yellow flag iris in the wild, report it to local conservation groups. Protect your local waterways by keeping this beautiful but destructive plant out of your water garden. 13. Tree of Heaven. Tree of Heaven grows fast and tolerates poor soil, but it's one of the worst invasive trees in North America. It releases chemicals into the soil that prevent other plants from growing, a process called allelopathy. Its aggressive roots damage sidewalks, foundations, and sewer lines. Female trees produce thousands of seeds that spread easily, and even cut stumps re-sprout vigorously. Worse, it's the preferred host for the destructive spotted lanternfly, an invasive pest threatening agriculture. Many cities ban its planting, and removal often requires professional help. Never plant Tree of Heaven for quick shade. It creates long-term problems. Instead, choose native trees like black walnut or tulip poplar. If you have one, cut it down and treat the stump with herbicide to prevent regrowth. Don't let its rapid growth fool you. This tree from hell brings ecological and structural chaos. And there you have it, 13 plants that may look lovely, but carry hidden costs to your garden, your neighborhood, and the wild spaces we all share. Whether you're a new gardener just starting out, a seasoned grower rethinking your choices, or someone who simply wants your little patch of earth to do good in the world, this list is your quiet act of care. Because gardening isn't just about beauty, it's about responsibility. And every time you choose a native bloom over an invasive thread, you're planting hope for bees, birds, soil, and future seasons. If this guide helped you, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed and tapped the bell so you never miss a mindful gardening tip from Golden Garden Moments. And if you're feeling inspired, leave a comment below. Tell me which plant surprised you most, or share a native favorite you love growing in your zone. Thank you for tending your corner of the world with wisdom and kindness. Remember, you don't need a perfect garden. You just need to grow with intention. Until next time, keep your hands in the earth, your heart open to learning, and your garden a safe haven for all life. I'm Lily, and this is Golden Garden Moments.